Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins coming back to you with our weekly video series, First Know Your Buyer. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Crystal Knows, and with us today, I have a good friend and a special guest, Lauren Bailey with Factor 8. Lauren, welcome.
Hello, my old friend. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Over the years, you and I did a number of these videos where you shared some really great meaningful tips for salespeople. This series is about really getting to know your buyer, the importance of that, but that's a broad topic as well. You have a couple of tips you'd like to share with the viewers.
100%. It really is always about knowing your buyer, isn't it? When I think about all the sessions we've done in the past, sharing tactical tips for sellers, it's always assumed that you had to know your buyer first. Our whole methodology, if you heard it once, you heard it a million times, it's SWIFT. And that stands for, so what's in it for them? Which is the opposite, of course, of with them. And so we like to try to switch that around and instead say be swift. And of course, swift also means do it quickly.
Okay.
And that's hard sometimes for us, right? You got to think on a dime on how do I message this so it's meaningful for them? What's the value for them? And that's what I think is so sexy about what you guys do, right? It's those quick in your ear tips. Do this, not that. Try this, not that.
And to make it about them, you got to do enough research about the company. Maybe you go on LinkedIn, you find out, what they do, how they do it. Maybe you know some of the challenges they have, and you make your approach about them. And you're right, here at Crystal Knows, we understand what makes a person tick because we know their personality ahead of time. We know the best way to communicate to them, way they'd like to engage. So that's making it a bit about them as well.
It has to be, yes. And so when we talk about SWIFT specifically, we'll use that in how do you message your introduction? How do you message your voicemail? How do you just perk their ear with something that would possibly be of interest to them? But to be honest, when it's a colder call, we're guessing, right? We're just doing our very best to guess because we also don't spend 3 hours researching prospects. That's not SWIFT at all.
No.
Something else came up just today, Bob, talking about knowing your buyer, also about knowing your customer. So we've got a new client and they're really, really excited to work with us. We're going to be working with them over the series of a year, working with new hires, ongoing reps and their managers. Big team, big deal, really exciting. I put my best guy in charge of it. And he came back today and said, it just feels funky. Spidey sense, it just doesn't feel quite right. And what we determined after all of us crowdsourcing everything we've known about them for a minute or two is we're usually used to taking charge. Here's what we do next. Here's what we do next. Here's like we lead the projects with our clients. What we found is we've got a client who wants to drive. And so we've been fighting each other for control of the steering wheel. And so as a leadership team, we said, okay, what we need you to do is just back off, right? Go to them. Like we basically came up with tactical things we could do to help them feel in control. But the next thing we said is, do we have a wrong match? Knowing more about your buyer helps you connect and put on the right solution provider, customer success person, trainer, whatever that may be.
Matching personality types. In fact, we had someone that likes to drive. We use the DISC format in AI to predict personalities, even off a LinkedIn profile. We have this driver. And if you knew that up front, you might have had a slightly different approach.
Now that we're talking about this, and I love how we just do this casually, like we are old friends, right? But I want to see mine now. What does Crystal say how you have to treat me?
Lauren, I looked it up ahead of time. I'm not sure you want to know. I'm just kidding you. I'm kidding you. We share a lot of common traits, and I think that's why we get along so well. But Lauren, thanks for those tips. Know your buyer. Make it a SWIFT. Make it what's in it for them.
100% of the time in your email, in your intro, in your voicemail, in your social, get to know them and quit talking about yourself.
Love it.
What's in it for them?
Talk about them first, not yourself. That's a great tip to help know your buyer better. With that, everyone, come on back next week. And if you're going to be out to the Leadership Summit in, I think, 3rd week of April, we'll see you there. Lauren, you're going to be there?
I'll see you there. Wouldn't miss it.
All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. Until next week, good selling, everyone. Bye-bye.